This is the official kickoff to Masters Week. 10 straight days of shows on Mayo Media Network. So sub to the channel, sub to the podcast. As well, there are giveaways if you subscribe, leave a rating and review on Apple and Spotify. That's all coming throughout the course of the week. You'll learn more about it. So you might as well get in now if you're going to do it. Smash like while you're here too, because not only are you here and I'm here, Michael Kim is on the line and we're going hole by hole at Augusta. He's going to walk us through the strategy off the tee, tell us about all of the holes, the different pin positions, and what guys need to be doing, and what he experienced a year ago playing all 4 rounds quite well, I may add, at Augusta National, and what he is thinking about doing this year heading in to the tournament. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. You can sub to the free newsletter so you don't miss a second. That's in the description. BetSportsGolf.com. If you want to get the full data suite, customizable tools, simulations, all the DFS, all the betting, head-to-head simulations, it is 25% off this week. Again, hit the description. Everything is down there that you need. BetSportsGolf.com/Mayo. All right, Michael Kim is standing by, so let's not keep him waiting. Let's go.
At Mayo Experience.
All right, let's kick off Masters Week on the Pat Mayo Experience. We're talking to Michael Kim today, who's in the field at the Masters for the second consecutive year. Thanks again for joining the show. Is it easier to prep yourself for Augusta this time around, knowing for the past 8 months that you're going to be in this tournament?
I think so. I feel like I have the non-golf stuff a bit more figured out with like tickets, where I'm staying, kind of the ancillary stuff. I feel like I have a much better handle on. Last year was so last minute. It ended up being a little bit more hectic, but this year it feels a little calmer heading into it, which is a good thing.
Is it easier, do you think, this time around that you're not as jacked up to play? I mean, obviously you're going to be jacked up to play, but just keep playing yourself in, getting to go, all this last-minute scrambling. And now, I mean, obviously you had a great result at the Masters last year, that coming in this time around, like, are you a bit more at peace with, like, okay, I'm here, I can focus on, I remember the holes this time around. Like, I don't need to put as much into the practice rounds of, hey, I completely don't remember what happens here. At least you have last year to draw on playing all 4 rounds.
Yeah, 100%. Last year was great because I knew I was playing well kind of heading into it since I played my way in. This year, honestly, my game feels kind of pretty solid, honestly, better than the results have kind of shown. So I'm actually kind of see how Valero goes, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it as much this year as last year for sure.
What is it, do you think, this year that is a little bit different? Like, obviously you went through like a bad putting stretch after Phoenix. I'm just looking at the numbers right now, but like at Bay Hill, you were striping it.
I was. It seems like Bay Hill is like a really nice point for me to kind of find my swing, because I feel like that was obviously a really big week for me last year. A lot of the holes sets up really well for me. Just it's a lot of dog leg lefts with water on the left, where I can kind of just aim it on towards the right side and kind of hit my draw and be good with it. So this year I kind of figured a couple different things with my swing at Bay Hill, and what was after Bay Hill? Yeah, players. I it's good. Taking me a few more years. I've played that tournament quite a few times now. I haven't made the cut once. So maybe next year I'll figure it out. But Valspar felt pretty good. Got a couple unlucky breaks and really just a couple bad shots here and there. But overall it feels pretty good, and I feel like I'm going to kind of start showing some better results. Hopefully starting at Valero and the Masters.
Well, yeah, you're back in your adopted home state now, so it's a hometown game for you in San Antonio.
That's right. Just a short drive, 3.5 hour drive, and it's not like exactly my favorite golf course, like the desert. Like if you just hit it, if you miss the fairway, you kind of in the junk. You might re-tee, but I don't think I've ever felt as comfortable as I have with the driver this year, so maybe it'll be different.
So I wanted to throw something out because I saw you responded to it. I watched a bunch of Valspar on the alternate feeds. Like they have like the 5 featured holes. Obviously, you don't know this because you're playing in the tournament, but you get like your main feed. It shows whatever the 2 featured groups are and maybe the guy who's in the lead. And you only see so many shots. But when you start watching those alternate feeds, you get to see everyone in the field play. And I had put out that people don't seem to realize how many bad shots get hit in PGA Tour events, that when you're watching either the highlights or you're just tuning in on Sunday and you're seeing the leaders, like obviously those guys are playing well. They're in the final group on a Sunday. Like they're rolling at the moment. But when you're just seeing all 133 guys take on the same 3 par 3s over and over and over again, there's some blades out there. Some patrons need to keep their head up.
Yeah, maybe they should do like worst 2 groups on Friday just to show some of the bad shots. Even at Valspar, not this year, but I've seen some. I mean, me included. I've hit some horrendous golf shots, but like shots where you wouldn't expect like a 5 handicap guy to hit. Like I remember at Valspar, the par 5, not hole 1. Um,
5?
is it 5? Yeah, it's like there's like a water carry at, I don't know, like 190, 200 yards. It's like not even in play, but guy playing with one year like popped up his 3 wood and like barely covered the water, um and struggled to make par from there. So you see some just pretty bad shots here and there. We're all, we're all, not all, but a lot of us, if our games aren't kind of where we want, if our swings aren't where we want, get pretty anxious over certain shots, and before you know it, you hit what looks like a guy that should be playing the pro am as the am, not the pro.
I think it would be helpful to see, like, just for the viewing audience. I don't feel like I know that the PGA Tour wants to protect everyone. The broadcast partners wants to protect everyone. They don't want to see some guy go viral with a really terrible shot. But throwing them in every now and then kind of reminds the audience, like, man, this is fucking hard.
Yeah, I think like on YouTube, they do like a golf is hard type thing where they do like a collection of shots of, top name guys, usually because they're on TV the most, of guys like I was watching it the other day, like Scotty like shank a couple shots out of the bunker, or um just, just bad shots that you really wouldn't expect. And you only get in tournament settings. Like no one's doing that on the practice chipping green, or the practice round, or the casual round at home. So when the shots matter more, you see some weird shots.
What I wanted to do with you right now, I know that you've done similar things to this, but I just want to get your perspective on each of the holes at Augusta and what it's like to stand on that tee box and what you're planning on doing. Like when you stand on the first tee box at Augusta, Tee Olive, one of the harder holes on the course, like what is running through your mind? Like what type of shot are you trying to hit? Because those bunkers are up on the right side. Do you just aim at the bunkers and try to draw it back in?
Uh, you know, First hole at the Masters, it's just like, please let me get it in the fairway, somewhere somewhere in play. Um, when it's downwind, I've hit 3 in the past. Last year it was mostly into the wind, so I remember like having to pump driver just to have like an 8 iron in play. Um, Augusta is known to be like pretty generous off the tee, in that you're gonna, for the most part, you're gonna be able to at least hit the next one without like, there's not like a bunch of hazards off the tee. But because the second shot is so demanding that, once you're out of place off the tee, trying to hit those greens are just super difficult, and you're just fighting for par at that point. But yeah, one is like that green is really hard, especially once you miss the green. Maybe a little short, a little right, is okay for some of those pins, but it's the first hole of the Masters. You kind of want to get off to a kind of a smooth start. You don't want to kind of limp out of the gate. So it's a pretty intimidating tee shot. knowing that kind of not in a great spot, whether you miss it left into the trees or miss it right into the bunker.
Does that one go more uphill than we see on TV?
I mean, it's fairly flat, I would say, from the tee box level, but for whatever reason, it goes really far down after the tee box, and then goes pretty far back up once you kind of get to the landing zone.
So number two is that long par five, the one that you try to like wrap, like try to get by the bunker and then get down the hill. When you're sitting on the tee box, is it, hey, let me hit a big drive, maybe I can fly something onto the green, or is that normally a 3-shot hole for you?
No, usually if you hit a good tee shot, I've been able to have like 250, 260 front, as long as it's not like crazy into the wind. If it's crazy into the wind, I feel like that tee shot gets almost easier because I don't even know if I could get it into the bunker, that right bunker. And then it's just an auto 3-shot hole. But you hopefully you can kind of sneak it left of the bunker. And then yeah, depending on the pin, if it's right pin, you want to be a little left. If the left pin, you want to be a little right. Actually, there's not that many pins you want to be left of that of that green, because it's so slanted left to right. But yeah, usually, hopefully you hit a good tee shot, get something kind of landing that front little portion, and hopefully you can kind of two putt your way for birdie.
Is that a hole where like do you end up on the downhill a lot on your second shot?
Yeah, downhill. I guess if you hit it really far, it's even more so. There, that green sits way more down than maybe some might think. So you don't. It doesn't feel like I have to like really like hoist something up super high. Um, so it's not terrible there, lie wise.
Number three, I watched Minwoo drive it 2 years ago and then 4-putt from the front of the green for bogey. So, what is it like being down in that pit in front of the green? And how far up does that actually go?
It's very far up. That's where like distance is huge. To not, the covering of the left bunkers isn't too difficult, unless it's really into the wind. It's more that a guy like Rory or Minwoo, when they hit their drives, it kind of goes up that bank on the green and then rolls back, but it tends to kind of stay on the upslope. Whereas mine, it's like a big gully, right? So if mine kind of stays in the downslope, that makes that second shot just that little extra difficult. Um, and so the back pin's the easiest. You can hit driver anywhere in the fairway, and you'll have like a decent, pretty simple wedge shot. When they put it kind of anywhere on that left or that even that front right. I mean, I remember last year I had a good drive to that front right pin and try to bump something up. Didn't bump up and just rolled back down. I barely made par, might have made a bogey. And the front left, it's even more banked short of the green there. So last year I laid up. A lot of guys still go for the green there. Maybe they just kind of have that second shot, where they bump it into the slope figured out. But I find that shot super difficult because long it just rolls off the green anyway too. So I laid up there. That was a Sunday pin last year, so I just laid up.
When you lay up to that spot and you get to wherever it is you're comfortable hitting it in, do you just aim to the right and hopefully it rolls down the hill towards the pin, or does anyone even try to go at it?
I think it's at least for me, like I know I'm drawing it coming in. So any type of right to left spin, it's gonna feed at least a little bit. That green is like really slanted. So you just that at least that front left portion, it's like it sits on a bit of a crown. So you're just trying to manage that to where if you're just trying to get that distance control dialed. So if you go a little long, it doesn't come quite back. And if you leave it short, it might spin off, even off the green, kind of down the gully, which you really don't want to do. So I think everyone tends to favor a little bit long to protect that. And it's like not not the hardest, but it's definitely not it's not a simple chip from long. So it's definitely one to I try to get some practice in on that left of that or long of that left pin.
Since it's Masters Week, I'm going to give away a big prize. Do you want that prize? It's easy. Just hit the description and you can find all of the ways to get into the draw. But the big one to get into that draw for the free Helix mattress is subscribing to the rabbit hole at betsportsgolf.com/Mayo. If you've already done that, you're already in the draw. As long as you've done it through me, you are good to go. But you can still rate, review, subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast. On Apple, there's 20 ballots. Do it again on Spotify, there's another 20 ballots. Sub to Mayo Media Network on YouTube, 15 ballots. You want to subscribe to the free Mayo Media newsletter with all the up-to-date news, plus bonus content, there's 15 ballots as well. If you're just on social media, hit that retweet. There's one right there. You share the article around, there's 10 for you. It's all listed down in the description. Get your hands on as many ballots as possible to get in that draw for a free Helix mattress. Now, I do vouch for Helix mattresses. Go to helixsleep.com/Mayo. Get yourself 20% off site-wide right now. Thanks for supporting the show. Let's get back to it. Number 4 is that long par 3. It's 240 yards. What do you hit off the tee there?
I've hit 7-wood. I hit 7-wood a couple times. 4-iron. They do mix up the tee boxes a little bit. They pull it up here and there. That one's pretty simple strategy wise. You're just trying to hit any green possible. I find that front pin kind of intimidating because it makes the hole shorter. So stroke average wise, it's probably not any harder, or might be even a little easier. But it's like a 30-foot wide area that you have to land like a 200, anywhere from 210 to 240 yards in that little area. Otherwise, your likely chances of you getting up and down is probably like 10%, which you have to get really lucky with like the lie in the bunker or something. So you're just trying to, 4 and 5, you're just trying to survive, trying to make par, hit the green in 2, and hope and just run to the next tee, really.
How are the bunkers at the course? Are the greenside bunkers difficult to get it up and down of? Or because I went to TGL like 3 weeks ago and they just kept boasting, this is the same sand that Augusta National has in the TGL bunkers. Obviously, I had never hit out of anything like that, so I went in, I took a few shots. Like this is silky smooth. I wish my course had this.
I think a couple things about Augusta bunkers. They're very deep, so for the most part, you're just well below the surface level of the green, which always makes it a little trickier. Trying to create as much as spin, but the ball just lands kind of at a lower angle, so it just doesn't want to stop as much. And also, I don't know what they use on below, like underneath the sand, but it's like, from what I hear, it's like harder than concrete, which is why you don't really see a lot of plugged lies. They tend to bounce out of the at least the very bottom part. Unlike like last week, this year for whatever reason, I've gotten so many plugged lies from the bunker, but you generally don't see that at Augusta.
So do you find it's reasonable to get it up and down out of those? Like, are there some spots where you'd rather be in the bunker than just off to the side where you have to chip it around the bunker or try to get it to land on a level? Because at least you control your spin most of the time out of it.
I would say there are certain bunkers to certain pins that you're totally okay with. Like hole 2, some of the left pins, I'm okay with being on the right pin. It's not the easiest up and down, but it's doable. For anything kind of, if it's on the back left, if it's in that back left, that feels doable from the right bunker. 5, that back bunker is pretty doable to most pins. It kind of works back towards that long. It works kind of not front to back, but like middle to back. So a lot of the bunker shots feel doable there. It's mostly kind of pin and situation dependent, but you feel like you're going to get a pretty good lie in the sand.
Number 5 seems like it's tailor-made for you, that you can aim at the trees, bend it around.
That hole is not tailor made for anyone. It's a brutal hole. Um, um, it's the tee shot is fairly for a guy. Yeah, I don't hit it the longest. I think I'm probably right around average. So that it oh it's if I miss one right, it's probably I didn't quite catch it probably, and so it probably won't kind of reach the trees. So the fairway is doable, and then it's all about the second shot. You want to avoid that first third, that kind of tiered off zone in that first third, and you just try to whatever that middle point. Let's say it's 12 on. You just like pick 3 yards, 15. You just try to pick 15 on and just aim it at the middle of the green and hope you get the wind right. Hope you don't get any mud balls. Hope you just find the green and two putt for par. That ever since they lengthened it, they also softened that left portion. There's this like pin on the middle left there now you see every year. It is like it's the size of like my face. It's like it's in such a tiny little flat area. Um, like I mean, it doesn't really matter where the pin is. You're just trying to hit the green because it's such a hard up and down. If you miss the green, so it's there's some interesting pins.
Do you,
As it should be.
how do you find the putting there? Like, do you find it easier than places? Because I know that some people either there's been a lot of like really crappy putters over the year on average who just thrive on these greens, and other guys who are known as just fantastic putters who can't seem to figure them out. Like, what is the trick to it? Because you had it last year.
Yeah, apparently I putted really well last year, which I didn't realize. I think there, if you're very visual and feel oriented, I think you can do well. The thing about like I've kind of leaned more in on aim point over the last couple years, and it's great for like kind of your mid range, like 8 to 15, 20 feet, which I've needed to get better in. Um, but like they don't let you use a level on the practice green, so everyone's just kind of going by feel the entire week. Um, my one complaint about the practice facility at Augusta is the practice greens. There's one practice green next to the range, and there's one by one tee. They're like incredibly flat and like they're just like pretty flat and really benign putting green, and then you get to like hole one through and or one or four where you got these like or like six, you got these mounds that are like not four or five, but like you get these mounds that are like as tall as I am, and so it's also like quite tricky to dial in lag putting, which I remember I texted Charlie Hoffman because he's sneaky, really good Augusta National player, at least in the first two rounds. But I asked him like what he focuses on, and lag putting was definitely one of the biggest things because you can have some really really long putts over these crazy mounds if you're just kind of in the wrong spot.
Is it easy to putt inside 5 feet? Like, if you pick your line, it rolls true.
I mean, the greens are very, very great. They're very good. They roll very true. Um, I would say if the only difficult part would be you have to be okay playing a lot of break and kind of playing the softer line. I would say um, I tend to miss putts high, which might be why I putted well last year there. But greens are fast and they break a lot, so you kind of have to be okay with hitting like a 5 footer downhill, like a cup outside, which is can be kind of a scary, sketchy thought.
Whoa, Jared, that got a reaction out of you.
Oh, that was awful.
Hole 6, that part, I was trying to remember all the holes in my mind because we get to this point every year. It's like, I cover this every single year. I've been doing it for 15 years. And there's certain holes that I just don't remember. What's the most forgettable hole, like in your mind? Like if I try to, like, if I ask you about 5, you remember 5. Obviously you remember 11, 12, and 13. You remember all of Amen Corner. Are there any ones you're just like, wait, is that 5? Is that 9? Is that 10? Which one is it? Is there any that stick out to you?
Ever since I played it, it's not nearly like that. But if I had to pick, um, like 17 isn't like the most memorable for especially since that was like the Eisenhower tree, that tree kind of off to in the front, in the start of the fairway on the left there. Um, yeah, I would say maybe if anything 17. Their 6 is hard to forget just because of how wild that green is. It's basically this one massive kind of tier and everything kind of falls off of that. Yeah, other than maybe 17, I would say most are pretty distinct in my mind.
It, with number 6, is it easier to play from? I see a lot of guys go over the green at 6, especially with those back pins. That obviously it's all slope back down. That it's hard to keep it up, but guys seem to get it up and down from there pretty often.
Yeah, it's not terrible. I think you kind of, like I said, you have that back right tier. You kind of have the left, but if you come up short, it just comes like 40, 50 feet short. It just rolls all the way back down. So to kind of protect long isn't, it's uncomfortable, but it's definitely doable. So you that's why guys kind of tend to go long. You almost would rather have that 20-footer kind of slippery putt as opposed to like the 50-footer that, you know, fast greens. I almost feel like it gets tougher on the really uphill ones because on the downhill ones, you're like, okay, it's really fast, and it's very easy, can kind of in your mind to like diet in. But when it's really uphill, it's kind of hard to get yourself to like really kind of get it there. And then in the back of my mind, like if I hit it too hard, then I have that crazy downhill putt coming back. I've always felt like sometimes, the long there is okay. One thing I remember for me, the back right pin up on that tier, there's a couple trees that lean over kind of right of the green, near the green. I remember thinking the wind was off the right, and I hit I hit a draw. So if normally I'm totally okay with just aiming way right of the green and just letting it come back, but because of those trees, I felt like it was going to get hung up. I was kind of uncommitted and hit a pretty poor shot. And I don't know if I made. I think I made bogey there on Sunday, and so kind of this year I am going to try and figure out what to do for that back right pin. Have to kind of at least try and hold it straight if the wind's off the right.
When you get the tee or the pin selections for each of the days, like do you mark the ones like, hey, this one's gettable, this one's gettable, this one is stay the hell away from it because I don't want to make a triple bogey here? Like, do you go through and just mentally do that? Do you write it down, or you're just like, no, let me get out here and fire?
I don't mentally like label them one way or the other. I feel like Augusta, it's pretty like one or the other. There's no like in between of like, oh, okay, let me just see how it is. It's either like you need to fire at that bowl, you need to be pretty aggressive to the pin because if you miss that bowl, it's really hard. Or like 4 and 5 where it really doesn't matter where the pin is. I'm just trying to hit anywhere on the green and hopefully get out of there with par. Um, the the pin kind of dictates how aggressive you should be with your approach shots and the hole itself as well. Um, so I feel like strategy wise, it's actually makes it almost a little simpler for me. It's okay. The pin's here, I'm aggressive. If the pin's there, I'm being pretty conservative. I'm just trying to make par and get out. If that makes sense.
With number 7, what makes number 7 hard and not super gettable?
It's the tee shot for one. It's a fairly narrow tee shot, kind of up. The shoot doesn't matter. Like for the most part, you're not gonna knock on wood. Not gonna catch any of the early trees. But the fairway is slanted left to right, which for me is actually works in my favor because of my draw. To where let's say the fairway's 30, 32 yards wide, but if you miss it on the right maybe 6 or 7, it's going to fall off into the rough. So in essence, the fairway is 25, 26 yards wide, which is not terribly wide. And also the green is super shallow, like super shallow, to where it makes that second shot much more tricky. I mean, from the fairway, you have, especially that Sunday kind of bowl pin. You can have anywhere from 8 iron to even pitching wedge. So it's a definitely gettable if you hit a good tee shot. But then if you miss the tee shot and you're in the trees because of the bunkers short of the green, you can't run anything up. Um, from the bunkers, it's quite flat. And like I said, they're quite deep, so it's hard to get a ton of spin or the ball to stop relatively quickly. So anytime you miss that fairway, you're just scrambling and just hoping you can make par. But once you hit the fairway, it's you feel like it's one of the holes you can attack if you have a good number.
On number 8, if you don't hit it into that right bunker off the tee, what does that shot look like from your perspective? Like, you can't see the green, can you?
Y- No, no, not even close. You don't see the green until you're like above that massive mound. So maybe until you're 150 yards from the green. Tee shot is kind of the tee shot. Just if you hit the fairway, you have a decent chance at the green. Um, if you hit into the bunker, you hope to kind of get a lie to where you can kind of make it over that mound I was talking about at 150 yards. Um, when you're in the fairway, you obviously see those trees way left. You see the mound. I think you can see like the camera tower that's you're kind of basing your entire, okay, I want to end it in this area. And it's mostly based off that one big camera tower kind of on the right edge of that green. Um, and there's like tons of room right. Just because you have nine tee box and kind of that walkway there, so you have a ton of room right, but you also don't want to miss right if the pin's kind of anywhere on the right because of the mound short right of the green. But with my draw, it's a fairly comfortable second shot for me. I almost it just try to kind of thread the needle a little bit, make sure I don't overcook it, and it goes left of the mounds, and you're really screwed. But yeah, I saw like when I played a practice round with Phil last year. Um, it was playing into the wind. It was playing quite long, and he hit like a decent drive, and we were pretty close to each other. And he hit this like driver off the deck, hit like a perfect low cut, and got it on the green. So that's kind of what I remember about the hole. It's yeah, you just kind of hit, and you're kind of waiting for a reaction from the crowd to see if you did a good job or not. That's kind of one of those.
How advantageous do you think it is at Augusta to hit a draw over a fade?
I mean, it's got its perks for sure. Like I talked about, hole 7 makes the fairway like, 3 or 4 yards wider. Um, you know, most guys that cut it, I feel like they just have a bit more of a problem like hitting the draw with the driver. Like most guys can turn over a through it. At least that week, they make sure they if they don't like drawing the driver, they make sure they can at least they have a through that they feel comfortable in turning one over for like say 8 or the tee shot on 13. Um, but I don't think it's like a crazy big advantage. It makes certain tee shots a bit wider. Like I said, 7, 14 comes to mind. 13 Um, 13's a bit different now since they made it so long. You don't have to draw it there unless you're a bomber, I guess. But last year, I remember I wasn't even trying to draw it on 13. I was just trying to hit it kind of straighter there. Um, I would say I would say 7 and 14 are probably the only real tee shots where I feel like a draw is going to make the fairway a little bit wider.
On number 9, is it a ton of fun when you're in the fairway and you can hit it up to the top of the bowl and watch it just trickle back down to the pin?
I mean, it's fun when you know you hit a good shot and the ball is rolling towards the pin and the crowd's going like, getting the anticipation. It's not fun when you're like trying to figure out the wind and you're like trying to hit it in these bowls. That one is one where you're really hitting off a downslope, but then the green is so high up at an angle that the ball is coming kind of landing at a pretty shallow angle, which makes just the distance control a bit harder. Um, so that one, you kind of hit and you look up and you're hoping, all right, I think I did that right. And you watch it land. Okay, I think that's where it should land. You the ball kind of kicks and then starts rolling, and then the crowd kind of tells you how well you did, where they start kind of cheering or they stay real silent, and then you're like, oh crap, I missed, I'm in the wrong, I'm at the wrong tier. Um, but that's one of those where you see the ball bounce, and then it kind of disappears from there. You don't really see the ball roll down at all.
Do you know number 10 places the 6th hardest hole on the course?
I can definitely see that. I feel like most guys have kind of that tee shot. Very cool tee shot. It plays pretty wide. Now the farther left and more you get down there, the much shorter the hole plays. So if you kind of block it out right, you're still in the fairway, but it makes the second shot really long. That second shot is like really intimidating. Um, because that bunker kind of sucks because you everything works away from that bunker. You don't want to miss it left because it might kick way down there. Um, Especially for me with the draw, like if I pull it, like it's kind of out of there. Um, and kind of on a downhill lie. Wind's starting to swirl there a little bit. Um, and it's like it can be like anywhere from like a 7 iron to a 6 iron sometimes. It's a pretty sketchy second shot.
Think it was 2003 when it was Mike Weir and Len Matisse in the playoff. I think Matisse got himself caught in those left trees and just couldn't do anything out of there.
If you kind of play like a big swooper, it can like I felt like I was like, oh my gosh, that's so far left, but it's been okay. If it kind of starts left early, then you're in a lot of trouble.
Number 11, when you step up to that, is it just make par, please, let's get out of here?
Yeah, it's just like, okay, I hit the fairway. That's also one of those like 10, but the opposite. Like if you there's a lot of room left, but if you just make the second shot that much longer and harder, um, that second shot, I feel like almost the easiest pins are the ones like back left near the water, because then you miss it right. You have decent amount of room. You can get up and down. I almost find like the right ones way more daunting because there's no real place to bail out. Um, I just like wind swirling. You're like have a 5 iron in your hand, and um, and there's you can see how much room right there is. It's all fairway. Um, but like you're like no, you can't bail out there because it's just auto bogey when you miss it right there because the green is so fast coming down towards the water. So there, I remember just aiming like right edge of the green and just being like, okay, please just go pretty straight. Um, there, if you barely miss it right, it's okay because you're probably still on the upslope and it's manageable. It's when you like really bail out, then you're just completely screwed and you're because you're on the downslope coming off like 12th tee box, and it's kind of comes down this way off of 12th tee and off of 11 green. So if you kind of stay around that upslope, it's fine. Just a scary second shot. And it's almost it's a lot of these holes. Um, it only makes it harder knowing how many guys have hit it in the water, and you've seen it on TV so often. Like recently, like Ludwig kind of pulled it way left into the water on 11. So like you have all there's not like that many like great um shots, like memorable shots on 11. You just remember the disasters, I feel like. Other than like maybe the chip in from like long right.
The Larry Mize chip in.
Yes. Other than that, like you just feel like you only remember the horror stories of 11 of guys like just hitting into the water. Um, and there because the second shots plays pretty downhill, plays even more the wind plays even more of a factor in there. So you're just kind of hoping for par.
They added those trees to the right-hand side of the fairway a few years ago, didn't they?
That was like back. That was long time. That was like when they started tiger proofing the golf course and made it much longer. Is what I remember. What I remember hearing.
You just try to make sure you're not anywhere near those.
Yeah, that's kind of the interesting ones where like if you like hit it way right, the trees stop. It's where the people walk. Like if you remember Tiger when he won in 19, he blew it way right, but it was so far right that he had a an alley where he could hit it, and it's like matted down grass and like some like sandy stuff. So like can can kind of get away with it. Um, but yeah, you don't want to mess around with those trees. And it's almost worse like if you have a gap because you feel like, oh, maybe I should take it on, but you miss it like an inch left and it just feeds right into the water.
How many of those
So
decisions do you get? Like when you were there last year, is it like 3 or 4 of them where you're just like, all right, I gotta go for this. I gotta hit it through this alley. And you're just standing over being like, this could go so bad.
I mean, it's like so many of those shots where like it's like you can't be too tentative because on the birdie holes, like you really, I mean, obviously the par fives, like you need to step up and make some birdies, right? And it's not like you can step up on 4 and 5 and try to make a birdie. And so, you know, like I remember last year on 13, like I hit really good tee shots, I'm pretty sure all 4 days. And first 2 days, I think I went for it. And I remember just like, the winds, it was pretty windy the both first 2 days, and you're just so uncomfortable. You're on like a big upslope, and for me, like I'm like literally aiming at the creek, but you don't want to overcook it because then it just defeats the purpose of trying to make birdie in the first place. So a lot of these shots, you're just forced to take on a lot of risk. And like I said, you just remember like guys hitting into the water half the time. Um, but
Water's water's not bad on 13 though. The short water, you can get it up and down for there and save par. I mean, it's not good, but it's better than being in the flower bed behind the green.
so last year I got stupid lucky. I don't. Pretty sure it's Friday. I hit a second shot, and I think so. The pin was front. It's kind of the most front pin that they have, and I hit a really good shot. From what I remember, swing felt nice. It's going right at it because there's nowhere to bail out there because it's so narrow up front there. It's going at it. I'm feeling good. I remember one of my goals was I wanted a crystal. You get a crystal for making an eagle, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is it. This is the one where I'm going to get that crystal. And it came up short. It landed in the bank and it rolled back. I'm like, oh, like I thought I did that perfect. And I walk up there kind of expecting I needed to drop, but it somehow like found it's not like a lily pad, but like a patch of grass, like in the not quite in the creek, but it was like in the muddy area to where like I got up there, checked it out, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I can at least advance it on the green. And I was like, let's just make sure I at least like fly this pin high so it doesn't come up short. And I hit it, and it was a lot muddier than I thought, and it like barely crept just onto the green. And I hit it. I'm like, oh my god, and it barely stayed up there, and quickly marked it. And I think I remember I made par, um, but just yeah, it's the margins are small, and you just sometimes you just have to get lucky to uh, to do it sometimes.
When you went down to the creek, did you have the urge to be like, hey, maybe I can take a leak in this creek and no one will notice?
That was, yeah, that I did not have that urge, but the only thing was after I played Thursday. This is before I even knew about the Spanish kid that won the AM. It's unless you know where there are, there's no signs of bathrooms. You can't ever see a single like one of the player bathrooms. It's like tucked behind like a certain grandstand or certain like trees. You can't see a single bathroom. So I remember I literally after I played Thursday, I went up to an Augusta National member. I'm like, can you just tell me like where all the bathrooms are? Because I have no idea where the bathrooms are, and I need to go to the bathroom. And I mean, like where the kid, where I assume where he um took a leak, he's like literally within 10 yards of the bathroom because there's a bathroom um just off that creek, as you're kind of walking, after you hit the tee shot on 13. So he's like literally like a second away from the bathroom. You just can't you just don't know if you don't know where they are.
Think you know ball? Prove it on Underdog and bet the bracket. Build a tourney bracket for free and see if you can outlast the rest for a shot at $100,000 in prizes. If you're a bracket bust, don't worry. You can turn your bets into real money all tourney long with prediction markets on Underdog. Available right now in most states like California, Texas, and Florida. Head to the Underdog app and put your bets to the test. With prediction markets, you can bet on money lines, spreads, and totals throughout the tournament, all in one place in real time. New markets drop every round from the opening tip to the final buzzer. So, if you love college hoops and think you know how each round will unfold, Underdog is where you make your bets. Download the Underdog app today and use promo code MAYO to get started. Prediction markets on Underdog. Available in your state. If you get a chance in the practice rounds and Fred Couples is out there, ask him what he does on number 11 from that bailout area. Every year you watch Fred Couples and like I don't even think he can get there in two. So he just kind of hits it up and hits a hybrid down way right. And he has some sort of sixth sense about the mounds of where to chip it into the mound so it deadens the ball and then rolls on. I don't know how he does it, but all the old dudes can get it up and down from over there and no one else can.
Like Bernhard Longer making a cut. He made the cut last year, did he not?
I think
or was he close? I think he was really close. That maybe it's what it was. But like the guy hits it like 250 off the tee, and he's hitting like hybrids into these greens, and it's just like that takes so much skill. And yeah, like I'm sure he has a lot of knowledge of like where to miss it. But like you can. It doesn't matter how much knowledge you have of that place. Like at a certain point, like you have to hit the shots onto the green, onto the fairway, and maybe he gets a few more up and down because he's hit the same shot back in the day. But like conditions change. Like last year, they had like 5 new greens. Like one was a new green. 8 was a new green, 15 was a new green. I think there were a couple others, but like they were so much firmer than all the other ones. So you had to make adjustments based on that. So that's just one example. You're constantly making adjustments. So like, course knowledge, sure, that is one thing, but like you have to obviously execute, and it's just so impressive that they're still competing at that high of a level.
Do you think we're going to see Tiger with the old man game? He's going to be like the 55-year-old dude in the pickup basketball game that's just like backing you down. He's got his little like jump hook. He's going to have all the tricks ready this year.
I mean, he is like the guy that like he can make all the shots. Like he can pull up from three. He can, pull up from two here and there, but just the running back and forth and the defense would be super difficult. Um, Everyone, talks about it's a crazy hard walk. Um,
Is
and
it?
it really is. Like it's really hilly. Starting off the bat, like hole one, or it just goes straight down and up. Coming back up nine, back down 10. And it's a pretty hard walk. So it's just a matter of whether he'll be able to walk, 18 holes in a day.
If they come to the point where Tiger can't walk the course, all of a sudden you're going to see Augusta National with like conveyor belts going down the holes to make sure that he can finish the 18.
Honestly, like just like give him like what are those like bike carts, whatever, like whatever, if he asked for one, not that he obviously wouldn't, but like I feel like most of the field would be like, I don't know, like the man kind of deserves it at this point.
When I saw him in Jupiter, he is more jacked now than I think I've ever seen him. He's in great shape.
He is jacked. He is he probably can't do like a ton of like lower body stuff from all the injuries, but he can do plenty of curls, plenty of bench pressing, shrugs, pull-ups, so he's probably banging those out daily.
Because I noticed how I had never seen Homa in person. I was like, man, this guy's like pretty big. Like he's far more like built than I would have imagined. I always thought he was a tall, skinny guy. And then Tiger stood next to him. I was like, oh, now he looks like a tall, skinny guy because Tiger's standing next to him. It looks like a
Tiger's a big guy. Also like Ernie and Phil, like they're big guys. Like way bigger than I feel like people would think of.
I've heard I have a few international colleagues who have told me some fun Ernie stories over the years about him just being a giant man. And you don't mess with Ernie is essentially the end of all of those stories.
His hands are like bear paws, like just like when you shake his hand engulfs your hand. Yeah, he's a big dude.
So number 12 at the Masters is my single favorite hole, mainly because this show wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Jordan Spieth double rinsing it on the 12th hole at the Masters and allowing Danny Willett to win in 2016. What is the visualization in that shot? And is it really just all about the crosswind?
I mean, at this point, like everyone's seen so many water balls. I feel like everyone tend to come into you just aim it at the bunker, trying to hit that green. It's very shallow. I don't know, maybe like between the bunkers, it's like 6, 7 yards. The left ones, you feel like you have a better chance of it, because you go long. On the left ones, you have a decent chance on it. And if you miss it right, it just ends up in the bunker. So the left ones play a little easier. It's just the wind. It's all it is. It's all it is. Right? But the shot itself is like a 9 iron, 150 yards. I'm one that I feel pretty comfortable taking yards like up to 20 yards off of a club. So knock on wood. I felt okay over that shot, where it just aim it at the bunker. You just hope to hit land, hope to hit grass. um I've yet to play with anyone that hit in the short of the bunker. I feel like everyone tend to favor long. It seems like I've for the most part, I've only seen either green or like bush or water. Not a lot of in between there, but it's honestly that's one where you just you hope to get the wind right. And I think the best like advice I remember getting, not just on 12, but like you almost have to pick the shot. Let's say you know I'm I think it's into the wind. Um, and if it's 10 miles into the wind, I'm gonna saw off a 9 iron and hit that. Instead of kind of like going back and forth between wedge and nine or 8 and 9 or like wedge and nine, just wait for that wind to come and then hit the shot instead of like, oh, I think it's the wind tied down. Let me hit the pitching wedge. It slows down. It can slow down play a little bit, and then then you have to change clubs. But that's kind of one of the better advice I've gotten, where you just honestly kind of have to wait for the gust that you want and then hit it quickly before it changes.
Is the walking down to the 13th green after you hit the tee shot? We've already talked about 13, but in that layup area, if you have to go there, is that like the most isolating place on the course where there's just no one around you?
13 on the layup area.
Yeah. Like,
No, there's sneaky people between 13 and 14. They probably just don't show that part. But like when I'm laying up, sometimes you want to be like way up there, just to
where
kind of give yourself a little better angle. And it's like, oh man, if I like catch a hot one, like it might hit those people. And you're aiming at people. Um, but the isolated part is 13T. It's like weirdly quiet back there from kind of a lot of you've been kind of surrounded by a lot of people. Then you get to 13, and then all of a sudden it's just like a group with your friends on that tee, and even to the second shot because you kind of walk left, it kind of towards the creek and then back out.
is 14 from the tee to the landing area on the fairway? It doesn't seem like it looks like a really flat hole on TV, but I feel like when you see like overhead shots or drone shots of it, it looks pretty uphill.
It's pretty uphill. It's a pretty big dog leg, I would say. Um, that's one where, like I talked about, the draw is definitely helpful if you can hit it. I feel it just kind of naturally fits the hole much better. A lot of guys tend to miss it right, because that left you're just in jail, but right the green tends kind of angles towards you, so if you get lucky, you can kind of run it up. Um, yeah, that's one you just have to take on kind of the pin. There's a couple bowl pins on the left and the middle. Um, there's like this pin on the middle right that's just like why is this even a thing? Like you just you hit it past it to like the plan on that right pin. You hit it like 25 feet past, and hopefully you can lag the 25 footer to within 3 feet and make the 3 footer. It's just like it's just up on its own little shelf, like on five, and everything else just like runs off like crazy. Um, that one, but you see a lot of birdies and sometimes eagles because you hit a good tee shot. It's a it's a gap wedge, pitching wedge to a pin that is on the left ones. It's pretty bowl like, so you can definitely make birdies there pretty quickly, or bogey pretty quickly if you're in the wrong spot. The problem with some of these bowls are the outside areas of the bowl are so big and such big fall off that if you don't hit the ball, you're really struggling to make par. Um, so I mean, the entire kind of course is like that. So,
What are some of the other courses like that?
like, I think Sawgrass is a bit like that, to where if you hit the fairway and if you have a lot of birdie opportunity, a lot of shorter clubs, I would say, like one is if you hit the fairway, it's a wedge. Two, it's a sawgrass. 2, if you hit the fairway, it's a reachable second shot. Um, like perfect example is like 4, the dogleg right, shorter par 4. It's a really um, tough fairway to hit. But if you hit the fairway, a lot of those pins are kind of bowl like, where you can really feed in. There's a lot of area to feed it in. But if you miss the fairway, then you're just like totally scrambling to try and make par from there. Um, and
Because I always had this.
yeah,
So those are the greens. When I'm thinking about approach shots here, like with the complete uneven lies, are there courses that I don't want to say completely mimic it because nothing's going to be Augusta, but are there courses on tour where you're like, hey, I can see like why guys play well and hit their wedges or their irons a certain way at these places and they're really good at it? Because some guys, like for years, Bryson's gotten a lot better at this, but like for years, Bryson just wasn't able to hit off of uneven lies.
interesting. I don't know. I feel like a lot of the modern courses, if you're in the fairway, they want you to, be in the fairway where it's like nice and clean, even lies. Um, I don't know, maybe like Olympics, the one where like a lot of the fairways are slanted and sloped. It's definitely like I remember like thinking like when I practice tomorrow, like I'm gonna find a ball above my feet lies for 13 because last year I just wasn't really comfortable even after hitting really good tee shots at least 3 of the 4 days of going for that green of like, okay, do I aim it at the creek and let it turn over? But with my draw, like I almost have to aim it right at the creek because it's so above my feet. Um, like I was watching Phil on YouTube video, and he was talking about how he kind of hits like this. He aims a little right and kind of hits like feels like a pull cut, and it tends to just hit it. It tends to just be a straight pull. So I kind of want to mess around with that one. Just like a game plan to like where I'm aiming, what kind of swing I'm making, trying to figure that stuff out. And maybe it's one of those where if you kind of figure out like your way of hitting it, then kind of you're good from there. Um, like for me, like 14, like if you hit the fairway, ball's going to be below your feet. But I'm super comfortable when the ball is below my feet because of my draw. I just like it just draws less, and I can just literally aim and say right at the pin, and I don't have to worry about it. But the ball's above my feet is when I don't quite, I'm not as quite comfortable. So something to figure out in the weeks leading up.
When you're on 15T, is the goal get there in 2?
Um, yeah, I mean, ideally, you don't want to miss it left,
Unless you're
unless you're
Rory.
Rory McIlroy
Yeah.
and you can hit a 7 iron like 250 yards with a high hook.
You
Which,
don't do that?
by the way, like that second shot he hit is like ridiculously impressive. But even more so last year because that green was so firm. Even wedge shots, guys were having like I'm confident 15 played much higher than years prior. Like had to have been. It was the green was so firm that even if the pins were on the left, or yeah, if the pins were on the left, like you're just like okay, like you're almost just trying to hit the green. And short wasn't as much in play anymore because you weren't worried about spinning it back. But if it was you almost wanted a little into the wind to make the ball land a little softer. Um, but yeah, you're just trying to hit the fairway right side, give yourself a chance. Um, I
Are you better to bail out to the right by that bunker or on the other side or long?
yeah, for me, like if the pin's on the right side, I'm aiming like on the edge of the bunker and the green. And if I'm in the bunker, no biggie. It's not like the easiest shot, but like I'm not stressing too much over it. Like I'm just trying to get it as close as possible. But if you're long, um, if you go if you land it on the green and it rolls, it's okay. if you land it long and it goes long, I mean, you might hit it in the water. Um, and from what I remember, guys, they've they made it even more of a runoff. I think I remember like Phil was talking about it. They made it. It was my first time in 6 years, so I don't I don't quite remember the how steep that slope was. But yeah, that green was so firm last year. And that's another one where the second shot plays quite a bit down. So it plays shorter, but also the ball's in the air longer. So the wind, like I remember I hit it first round, it was downwind when I hit it. And by the time Cam Young, who I was playing with, he was way down there. Um, by the time he hit, like as I hit mine, it was definitely downwind. It played downwind. I hit the green right on, and by the time he had picked his club up, like I could feel it. I was a little higher up because I was back there. Um, I could feel it switch, and as soon as he hit it, like felt like a big gust, and just went straight into the water, like no chance. And he was just like looking at his caddy, like, "What the heck just happened?" So a lot of times you just have to get a little lucky.
On 16, how much of what you're doing is the pin position? Because last year the Sunday pin wasn't the regular Sunday pin.
Yeah, I was like super sad about it. It's like one of the more iconic pin locations, even at Augusta. I feel like, because they that was it was kind of there Thursday, but not really. Like it wasn't as far back left. Um, that's one of those holes where like it feels so easy in like practice rounds. You're just like for especially for me, like I just aim it at the middle of the bunker or middle of the green. I let it turn over a little bit. It lands somewhere in the bowl and it rolls down to like inside 10 feet, like no big deal. And then the turn it rolls around, you're like, oh man, like I don't want to miss it right because it's like the best you're gonna do from the right up top to any of the bottom pins is like 8 feet at best. And so you're like, it's like a, you know, 50-50 shot of making bogey there. And you don't want to pull it left because there's water. It's one of those holes where like it all of a sudden plays way narrower. And then that front right pin is like pretty diabolical. That landing area is like really small. But you don't. It's not like you see a lot of like a ton of bogeys there for the most part. But um, that can be a little tricky.
Did you try in the practice rounds? Have you tried the
Oh,
Tiger chip?
like through the water.
Or the Tiger chip, like from
Oh,
the left
back
rough?
left.
Yeah.
Not during the tournament weeks, but like the first time I went, I 100% threw like three golf balls down and hit a bunch of chips from that spot. Yeah, not like not like out of this world difficult, because it banks more in than it looks at that kind of famous camera angle. But obviously, considering everything, obviously it's to make it is a whole nother thing than to hitting it to like 12 feet. So definitely hit some of those shots. Also, like yeah, that Sunday pin last year in that back right, really underrated shot by Rory because he got it on that top shelf, which is like it's really small area because you miss it left, you're screwed. You miss it right, you're kind of screwed. So um, yeah,
There was a lot of guys coming up even just 2 feet short on that pin and
and
just
just rolling
watching it
down.
roll all the way down the hill.
Yeah, that was super impressive because I remember watching it and Rory hit it to like 15 feet, right? Thinking that was like such a great golf shot.
Where were you? Like, you would have finished up your round, what, like an hour and a half before he would have finished?
Yeah, I finished up my round. Um, I don't know exactly what I did right after. I probably picked up all my things from my locker, maybe some last minute shopping in the pro shop, um, and then went back. to the house that I was renting. While I think I don't know, someone else drove, and I was just watching on my phone, um, and just kind of going through the. I turned it on like when Rory got to like hole 11. So going from this is over. I remember I even tweeted like he laid up on 13. I was like, that's it. Like there's nowhere where he can get himself into trouble. And he hits like the single worst wedge shot I've ever seen Rory like a pro, let alone Rory. Maybe he had some mud on it, but just kind of going through the emotions like everyone else.
Did you have any like? Did you think like maybe I'll just stick around and watch this here? Because I'm sure they would allow you.
Yeah, um, yeah.
And you could have been the new Ricky Fowler. That after Rory won, you could have been the first guy getting the handshake.
You will. I just I personally, not that I don't want to congratulate whoever the winner is. I just find it a little corny for me personally. No disrespect to any of the guys that stick around and say congrats. It's great. I won't personally do that unless like if Max Homa wins the Masters, then I'll for sure try and be there. But for the most part, um, like it's not like it's not like the golf course. It's not like the tournament's gonna let me go inside the ropes and like be an honorary observer or something and watch inside the ropes. So and watching on TV is plenty good for me.
That's the case at most golf tournaments. That the sneaky secret sauce is that it's easier to, even like when I've been at tournaments, it's easier to follow in the media center than it is just out walking the course.
Oh, I mean that's like most sporting events, isn't it?
Not
Like
hockey,
watching.
hockey and basketball are good in person.
Yeah, basketball it's cool to see all those athletes, real athletes, like move really athletically. And hockey's is great. But like especially like football, I find football to be such a much better experience watching at home than in kind of real time. And yeah, I don't have that much interest in going back um, on a course that I just like stressed out for 5 hours on to go back just to watch Rory McIlroy finish. So I was plenty happy just watching it on my phone and on the TV.
Where are you trying not to miss on the 17th tee?
Left, way left for one, way left, you're in jail. Right, you at least have a chance. Um, it's like that's one where it kind of like one where it starts really wide at the start and then it narrows like really quickly. Probably one of the reasons why Rory hit three wood off the. I'm pretty sure he hit three wood off the tee on 17 on Sunday. Um, I don't get nearly to that narrow part, so I end up hitting driver anyway. Um, Sneaky, tricky tee shot. Um, the green is like they don't have obvious bowls, but they clearly have a few different sections. You want to try and be in those sections. You don't want to be to the back left. It's okay. Um, I remember Mike Weir, kind of like we're talking about with Longer and Fred Couples, like he hit some awesome short game shots. You're just like bumping it into the hill with less lofted and because I mean he wasn't a long player when he was playing kind of regularly. He's hitting these hybrids into greens and um, kind of those like he did the best he could, but like it's just so hard to compete to try and make the cut. But some of the short game shots he hit were awesome to kind of watch. That's kind of one where he was long and he was not in a very good spot and just bumped like a 9 iron, kind of rolled it up the hill and made par.
It,
Um,
I've always like when I'm trying to think about who I want to pick or who I want to bet on to win the Masters. It always kind of comes back to it's funny. I don't want this to be like a Bryson slander show, but it just he's so mechanical. Like he does things a certain way that if you get him out of his element, it's one thing. Where you see someone like Spieth, like even someone like Sahith, who you just see some of the shots that he plays. You're like, it's a really creative shot. He's the one guy who would have thought about doing it this way. Is there an element to that at Augusta where you need to have that little switch?
I think I think we are so captivated by that. We get caught up in that of like, look at the cool shot he hit. But at the end of the day, like it's worth the same as a bump and run um, that you can hit with like a 60-degree and like it's in your memory bank. But at the end of the day, like it's you just I mean, it's a golf shot and it's cool seeing it played out in a certain way. But like as a pro, like I'm just any way, shape, or form, I'm just trying to hit it close, whether that's like the least sexy golf shot. I think that's fine. And as much as Bryson is measuring everything mechanical and all the things he does, and even kind of down to like measuring the ball speed on his putting or the how
Do you
far
do
he
that?
takes it back for the chipping.
Do,
I've never
do,
done that. I couldn't tell you what my ball speed is on my putter, um, or technically even on most of my clubs. But he's like if I talk to Chris Como, who's worked with him, or some of the other guys, he's actually like quite feel oriented in some ways, which I mean he really leans into that scientific part. And I feel like I do too in a sense. I like seeing like numbers and strokes gained. Like I want to see like mathematical proof that your theory is correct and not just like oh like just random empirical evidence. But like I feel like Bryson is has plenty of chances, and I feel like he's gonna get it done one of these days.
what about something like the Open Championship? Would it be a little bit different for that just because of the wind, the weird terrain that you're not used to seeing?
So I would say the biggest thing, especially this year, I learned um, that one. I feel like Bryson might have a bit more trouble with than the Masters. I realize you really have to work the ball against the wind. Otherwise, just because of how firm the greens are, once you kind of get it angled the wrong way and it just kind of bounces away from the pin, the margin for error on the greens becomes so small. Whereas a guy like Scotty, who has no problem working it both ways, can kind of his ball is always kind of angled in the correct way. Also, obviously helps that he's like the thickest ball striker and chipper in golf these days. But like Port Rush was when I was like kind of the light went off. Like, oh man, like I can't like hole three was a par three there at Port Rush. I'm pretty sure it's three or four. I'm pretty sure it's three. The green is angled a little left to right, just a tiny bit, and the wind was off the right Thursday and Friday. I don't know. I don't know about the weekend because I missed the cut. But like I hit the first day, I hit a really good shot. Like the pin was up the right, and I landed it at almost as far right as I possibly could, and it still went off the green. And it was kind of one of those where like, all right, like I need to figure out a better way to do that because if it was like any normal tour event, back home here, like that would have been fine, middle of the green, worst case scenario. That's when you really have to figure out. I realize I have to figure out, like, okay, I need to take an extra club and figure out a better way to cut it into the wind, or at the very least, it's like more of a push than a draw. Where like Zach Johnson was won the British Open, he hits like a big push and That way, it's not nearly as drawing as much with the wind. So I feel like that one, because Bryson talks about he kind of hits the straight to a little draw most of the time and doesn't move his ball flight around as much. Um, that one I feel like, and again, he's obviously super talented and he might figure it out, but that one where he might have a bit more trouble.
Well, now that you're in Texas, it does bode well for your Open Championship prospects. If you're in the Midwest or Texas as an American, those are the guys who win the Open Championship.
I guess so. I played Carnoustie in 18 for the first time and like totally fell in love with it. I think it is at least right up there with the Masters as like one of the greatest tournaments in the world. It's tied for first in my mind. Um, the first time I played even 9 holes, I was like, this is the way golf was meant to be played. Like this is awesome. Um, Real strategy is involved, real options are available to you, and just I love going there and love playing links golf. So I surely hope to one day win the Open.
18th hole. Is this the most intimidating tee shot on the course?
Um, I find one more intimidating than 18 personally. 18, I already have an idea of what my misses are with what my swing is at. So well, I guess I might be even more intimidated if I feel like I've hit it all over the place through the first 17. So my kind of weird take on that hole is y- I actually think you should play like a slight draw, if anything, as opposed to a cut because of how the shoot is worked. The shoot, if I it's kind of hard to show, but like um, on the left side, the first part of the shoot where it sticks out is much closer to the tee box to where if you hit that one, you're like really screwed, which I feel like I remember seeing Jordan hit that tree trying to hit that cut. Whereas if I play my draw, um, once I get past like the very initial, it's a little more open on the right side. So last year I was driving it really well. Didn't really have too much problems with it. Um, it's it is in I mean it is intimidating in a sense, but for also I was really okay with it, at least last year.
This feels like the most open the Masters has been for almost anyone on the board coming in. Obviously you guys are focusing on your games, but is it weird to see Scotty not be utterly dominant after the last 2 years?
Yeah, but it's more feel like, oh my gosh, he's actually human. Um, I remember like because early he didn't get off to the best start Thursday, and you know he'd play himself kind of back in Friday, Saturday, and on Sunday, I obviously didn't really play when Tiger was at his best, but like you can see the guys be like, oh, there's that guy. He's coming for you. He's like the boogeyman. Like he's coming for you from the and he had that type of feeling. Um, and you know, it's not like we're worried that he's not going to figure it out again. Um, but and he's still playing, really good golf. It's just like, how long do you expect one guy to be at such high of a level for how, for he's been playing that way for like 2 years. Like, I mean, he's not going to play like that for 10 years straight. Well, maybe not, but maybe not. But it's, every career has its ups and downs. This is just a tiny, tiny little down. So we're not, I don't think anyone's really thinking of it as like two one way or the other.
You're playing Valero. A bunch of guys play Houston, and some have said that Houston, the way that they've done it now in March, is set up to be, I don't want to say like an Augusta preview, but are there similar shots and like even like the shaved off green surfaces and things like that. Like, could you say that playing Houston is a good warm up for Augusta?
I think so. I mean, I've decided to play Valero, not Houston. But like Houston is for sure a better warm up in some sense, like with the overseed, with some of the green fall offs. It visually, it's definitely more like that. Valero is it's much more of a just straight up execution. Like it's probably going to be a little windy. There's trouble all over, which is part of the reason why I wanted to play that week, just to kind of, make sure I could test out my, driver and off the tee a lot and kind of test my game that way. Um, at the end of the day, like your game is your game, and if you're playing well, it doesn't. I mean, you could be coming from I don't know, DLF in India and go to the Masters, and if you're playing well, you're playing well, and if you're playing bad, it doesn't really matter how much prep you do.
Were you surprised Akshay went over to play the Indian Open tournament? Like that's a lot of travel.
I mean, Hero is one of his sponsors, so does Hero? I think Hero sponsors the Indian Open
Yeah,
this week.
the Hero Indian Open. Yeah.
So that's probably a big part of why he's going over. One of these days, that's for sure one of the courses I want to check out
It looks
um,
insane.
in the future. I played the other Indian Open in the fall last year. Was kind of worried a little bit heading in, but like enjoyed that trip way more than I thought I ever would. So if ever I have the time and the want to, that's one of the tournaments I definitely want to check out.
Yeah, it sucks where it falls on the schedule. Is that like if you're playing in the Masters in 2 weeks, do you really want to be doing a round trip to India right now?
Yeah, that's I'm gonna avoid that one if possible.
I was actually watching videos of him playing it, and they're like in his practice rounds. It looks insane. Just to see he's just sitting here in the middle of the fairway, and all you can see is just a big canyon in front of you. You can't see the green, you can't see anything. It's just a big pit in the middle of the green, in the middle of the fairway.
Yeah, it's like when I was in India, I would ask the players or the DP World guys about that golf course. And they're like, "Oh my gosh, that golf course! Like, it's so hard."
It's awesome. All right, man. Good luck at Valero. Good luck at the Masters, and I hope you can find a spot at your course where you can go practice that has the ball above your feet by like 6 to 18 inches or so, and just swipe away at it.
Sounds good. I was actually today. I was scouting out like where I might be able to do that tomorrow. So I'm sure I'll be able to figure it out and hopefully put it to good use in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. We're all rooting for you as always. So thank you again for being on the show, and I'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks. And that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. That's just show one of a lot every single day from now through the conclusion of Augusta. I hope we win some money this week. I feel like I'm more informed now after talking to Mike, walking through it. Maybe we'll have to bet on him. Listen, we put $100 on Michael Kim to win the Masters. We can win a lot of money here if he ends up doing it. But it was just fun to go through and get a player's perspective hole by hole. Again, leave a rating and review. You can get yourself into a draw if you leave that 5-star review on the audio podcast. The comments always help. You can share everything around. If you're in Canada outside of Ontario, hit the description. I got a bonus for you at coolbet.com right now where I will have exclusive boosts all week long for the Masters. All right, I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.